Okay, so good afternoon, students. So today we are going to start with Unit 3 of Big Data Analytics and Business Intelligence. This is one of the elective. So in this particular unit, we are going to concentrate on these aspects. So this is a brief syllabus, the data analytics project life cycle, then the data analytics problems, that is web page categorization and stock market change. Then we will touch upon the supervised and unsupervised machine learning algorithms. What are they and why they are important. So the first and foremost thing is related to this point, that is the data analytics project life cycle. Okay, so we know that we have collected the huge data using the heterogeneous sources, and that is why some of the data may be uh, partially formatted, some of the data may be totally unformatted, or some of the data may be in the formatted format. Okay, so there are some fixed tasks that should be followed to get the expected output, because ultimately the aim is to uh, get the piece of knowledge that is required from this huge amount of data that we have collected from the heterogeneous sources. Okay, so here we are going to build a data analytics project life cycle. Okay, so basically we are going to deal with this data analytics project lifecycle, wherein we are following 5 steps. Uh, if we follow these 5 steps properly, we will be able to get from whatever we want from that huge amount of data. Okay, so here we are going to build a data analytics project life cycle, which will set the standard data driven processes to lead to the insights effectively. Insights means if you want to appear on certain conclusion, so that is the insight. Okay, the defined data analytics processes of the project lifecycle should be followed in particular sequence, and they includes identifying the data analytics problem, designing, collecting the data sets, data analytics, and then the visualization of the data. So in summary, we can say these are the 5 steps. If we follow these 5 steps in proper manner, then we can say that the required output can be gathered through the this particular aspect of data analytics. So in this diagram, as you can see, all these 5 steps are mentioned over here, and as you can see, the data analytics project lifecycle stages needs to be followed one by one. That means it needs to get followed in a sequential manner. You cannot break the sequence of this: identifying the problem, then designing the data requirement, processing the data, then performing the analytics over the data, and lastly the visualization of the data. So the particular pattern that you need to follow is these are the set of steps that you need to follow, and once you follow these steps in a particular sequence, then you will be able to gather the quite useful information, piece of information from the data. Okay, so these are the steps, and now we are going to see the steps one by one. Okay, so the first step is identification of the problem. So the business analytics trends change by performing the data analytics over the web data sets of growing business. Why the data set is going to get increased? It is increased because of the day by day the heterogeneous resources are adding up. That means now there are social media platform, n number of social media platforms are available, in which all these platforms are providing huge amount of data, and this huge amount of data is getting collected and getting processed in the form of analytics. Okay, so you need to keep into mind that the data size is increasing gradually day by day, and their analytics application needs to be scalable for collecting insights from these data sets. Now, what is the meaning of scalable? Scalable means depending upon the requirement, depending upon the how large my data is, depending upon that, my analytics application should be able to deal with that, because it has been observed that in our day to day life, whatever the database management system that we are going through, all these things are not natural, they are not readily available, and that is why it has been stressed that your application needs to be scalable. Okay, because as your data grows, you should be able to process it. It should not happen that even your data goes into petabyte, it goes into the size of petabytes, but still you should be able to process that data, wherein our traditional database management system, that is your relational database management system, time and again fails if that data grows in these kind of scale like petabyte or zettabyte. Okay, so with the help of this web analytics, we can solve the problem of this business analytics, and we need to identify what are the, suppose for example you have one website wherein you want to point out what all pages are important from your uh, whole website. Why? Because you want to know how many students or how many people are visiting the particular website, and which pages are oftenly visited, which pages are there which are not at all getting visited. So this kind of analytics you can do with the help of this. Okay, so we can identify the important pages of our website by categorizing them into the high popularity, medium popularity, or the low popularity. Okay, so based on these popular pages, their types, their traffic resources, and their content, we will be able to decide the roadmap to improve the business by improving the web traffic. Okay, and at the same time we will focus on the contents also. So here we are concentrating on identifying the problem. So stage one is wherein we are just trying to identify what are the problem that my system is going through. So for example, you have the large e-commerce website. So analyze this website. You can analyze this website. Every website can be analyzed with the readily available tools, wherein those analytical tools can tell you what are the pages which are frequently visited, what are the pages which are never visited by any of the user, and likewise. So depending upon that, we can easily categorize the web pages of the websites into high popular, medium popular, and low popular. Now meaning is that once you know that certain pages from your website is highly popular, then you need to optimize that web page so that that web page gets loaded with the minimum amount of time. So likewise, first step is the identification of the problem. Then second step is designing the data requirement. Now once you know that a particular problem is there, once you have identified the problem, so to perform the data analytics, you need to have certain data related to that particular domain or problem specification. Okay, so data source can be decided, and based on the problem definition, the data attributes of these data sets can be defined. So meaning is very simple. that once you are able to identify the problem, the very next step is to design the data requirement. That means where from you are going to collect the data, what kind of data will be required, all those stuff will be discussed over here. So for example, if we are going to perform a social media analytics, we use the data sources of Facebook, Twitter, and other social media websites. And for identifying the user characteristics, we need to profile the information, likes and the posts and the data attributes and the particular set of comments that are passed by each and every user. So this is your second step in the data analytics life cycle. Then third is the pre-processing of the data. Now very obvious, we need to pre-process the data because we are collecting the data from the heterogeneous sources, and we know that all these heterogeneous data sets may be in some or the other format. Some of them may be in the form complete format, some may be in the partial format, or whatever may be. Some may be in the unformatted way. Why? Because if you consider the Facebook pages comments or Twitter comments, so there you cannot have the fixed data size, you cannot have the fixed data type. So altogether all these comments are in the unformatted manner. So you need to pre-process them, because ultimately whenever you are going to run any algorithm, that algorithm will require certain standards of the database. So you need to bring that data to certain standard. Okay, so in data analytics we do not use the same data source. Okay, whatever the sources से data हमने collect किया वो as it is हम use नहीं करने वाले. So the data attributes, data tools and algorithm, all the times as all of them will not use in the same format. But what is done, the data needs to be cleansed. Okay, the data aggregation, data augmentation, data sorting and formatting needs to be provided. Now what does mean by data cleansing? Simply data cleansing का मतलब ये होता है कि आपको डेटा को यूनिफॉर्म फॉर्मेट में आना है, डेटा को क्लीन करना है. इसका मतलब कहीं पे अगर वैल्यू नहीं प्रोवाइड की गई है तो व्हाट बेस्ट वैल्यू यू कैन प्रोवाइड. सम ऑफ द डेटा मे कंटेन द null and void. So all these things you need to do. So that state is called as data cleansing. Then data aggregation, that means you are going to collect the data in a group manner. So that is, you are aggregating the data. Then data augmentation, sorting and formatting, all these operations need to be done, and these are called as the pre-processing of the data. Okay, so in simple terms we can say the data analytics process will be initiated with these formatted data as the input. So once you perform all these operations, your data will come to a certain standard, and then with this data you can proceed with the data analytics process. Okay, so in case of big data, the data sets needs to be formatted and uploaded to Hadoop distributed file system. We have seen in unit 1 and unit 2 what is HDFS and how we can deal with this, and the user proceeds by various nodes with the mappers and reducers in the Hadoop cluster. We know that what is the function of the mapper and why we require to have the mapper and reducers, so that we can come to a key value pair combination. तो Hadoop database file system से जो भी data input किया जाएगा, all these data will be mapped by the mappers, and one-to-one mapping will be done. The key value pair will be maintained, and then once you do the mapping, you will be further moving towards the reduction of the data with the help of the number of reducers in this Hadoop cluster. The fourth step is performing the data analytics. Now your data is clean, your data is uploaded on the Hadoop system. Now you can perform, or now you can apply certain algorithms, the data analytics algorithm. You can perform the particular data analytics operations. Those will be done, performed by this. Okay, so analytics can be performed with various machine learning as well as the custom algorithm concepts such as regression, classification, clustering, and model based recommendations can be used. So for big data, the same algorithm can be translated to MapReduce algorithm for running them on Hadoop cluster. Okay, so these models need to further evaluated in terms to optimize the algorithm. Okay, so the analytics can be performed with the various machine learning algorithms in the step 4. Okay, so that is performing the analytics over the data, and the last stage is your visualization of the data. And for that purpose we can take help of the packages which are already available in the R language. Okay, so R is a statistical tool wherein you have the readily available packages which are totally devoted for the visualization of the data. Okay, so like ggplot2 is one of the you can say package which is available in the R language, wherein this can be used for the grammar of the graphics. Then R charts is there. So this package is used to create, customize, and publish the JavaScript interactive visualization in the form of R by using the familiar plotting interface. Okay, so these are the 5 stages that you need to perform. Okay, so I hope these 5 steps are clear. Identification of the problem, designing data requirement, pre-processing of the data, performing the analytics over the data, and then lastly visualization of the data. Okay, so any problem up till now?